Our next guest is not proud of a prediction he made. 5 days ago, Frank Figliuzzi, the former FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence, wrote the following in an op-ed in the New York Times, and we quote, "Instinct and experience tell me we're headed for trouble in the form of white hate violence stoked by a racially divisive president. He has chosen a re-election strategy based on appealing to the kinds of hatred, fear, and ignorance that can lead to violence." And once again tonight, we have Frank Figliuzzi back on our broadcast. Frank, what were the signs, and how do we know how to navigate this tomorrow and the next day? This starts becoming the definition of terrorism when people develop anxiety about what should be free-flowing public places.
Exactly right. The definition of terrorism is conduct designed to coerce or intimidate the civilian population. And if we don't take action quickly, then that will continue to play out. I have a piece out just tonight in the New York Times on what sadly I think is going to happen next if we don't disrupt the chain of radicalization. What were the warning signs for me, Brian? Ironically, they weren't from my experience in domestic terrorism, but rather they were from my experience in international terrorism and radicalization to Islamic Jihad. You see the same things happening now in white hate groups and white supremacy groups, where not only is the internet facilitating the speed of radicalization, but our leader, our chief executive, is seen as almost a mentor and a radicalizer. And unfortunately, today, we did not hear what we needed to hear from that person that these extremists and unstable people look to. He spoke in the passive voice, in the collective voice. We didn't hear first person from him. We didn't hear, "I condemn white hate ideology." We heard, "The nation must condemn it." Well, the nation does condemn it, but we didn't hear what we needed to hear. So what happens is the extremists interpret what the president read off a script today as something he needed to say, something he didn't really want to say. So the president's either getting really good advice and rejecting it, or he's getting really bad advice. And I'll give you an example of that. We have to understand the adversary and the threat we're dealing with. And if we don't understand how they think, we'll never understand how to counter them. So it's the little things and language and messaging that matters. The president said that we will fly our flags at half-mast until August 8th. That's 8/8. Now, I'm not going to imply that he did this deliberately, but I am using it as an example of the ignorance of the adversary that's being demonstrated by the White House. The numbers 8/8 are very significant in neo-Nazi and white supremacy movement. Why? Because the letter H is the 8th letter of the alphabet, and to them, the numbers 8/8 together stand for Heil Hitler. So we're going to be raising the flag back up at dusk on 8/8. No one's thinking about this. No one's giving him the advice, or he's rejecting the advice. So understand your adversary to counter the adversary.
I know you're keeping your options open there, Frank, but as chilling as that is to hear, you're saying it is possible that someone who knows better is authoring or editing the words that show up and are read verbatim, or are supposed to be read verbatim, by the president.
I'm concerned about who is writing his script and his speeches, and what would fascinate me is what he's rejecting. So it's possible that several iterations of this speech were given to him, someone with expertise, and believe me, the expertise exists in our intelligence community and our law enforcement community and our civilian population on how to counter radicalization. So those folks could have advised him on writing an excellent speech that would have created an obstacle on this path to violence that we're on. But he either chose to not take that advice, or he's not even willing to solicit the advice.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.